Hey there, if you live somewhere warm and humid like Tampa, you are no stranger to that constant feeling of moisture in the air. But what about the invader that loves that moisture but that you can't always see? Okay, let's dive right into this explainer on mold, what it is, the real risks, and how you should actually deal with it. So let's kick things off with just one number, 45%. Take a second. In the context of homes in the Tampa Bay area, what on earth could that represent? Well, get this. That means nearly half of all homes in the region are fighting a persistent battle with mold. And it's not really surprising when you think about it. Tampa's humid, subtropical climate is basically a five-star resort for this stuff to grow and spread. So let's dig into that a little deeper. Why exactly is Tampa's beautiful, sunny weather also the perfect recipe for a potential mold disaster inside your house? First things first, what even is mold? Well, it's pretty simple. It's a type of fungus, and it's not picky. It really only needs three things to be happy: a little bit of moisture, some warmth, and humidity. And once it finds a cozy spot, it starts releasing these microscopic spores into the air. That's how it travels all over your home. And this is why Tampa is basically ground zero. You've got that constant, high humidity pretty much year-round. Then you throw in the frequent thunderstorms, all that rain, and maybe even some flooding from a storm surge. It's like you're rolling out the welcome mat for mold. Even a quick temperature drop can cause condensation on your windows. And bam, that's all the moisture it needs to get started. All right, so we get why it happens. But what's the big deal really? What are the actual dangers here? Let's talk about what could be lurking in your home and why you absolutely cannot afford to ignore it. The biggest concern for sure is your health. Remember those tiny spores we just talked about? Well, when you breathe them in, they can really mess with your respiratory system. If you already have asthma or allergies, mold can make your symptoms so much worse. But even if you don't, you could find yourself with a cough that just won't quit, or feeling tired and getting headaches all the time. It's easy to freak out about a patch of mold you can clearly see on a wall. But what if that's just the tip of the iceberg? What if the real problem, the biggest infestation, is completely hidden from view? And this is where it gets a little scary. Mold loves to hide out in dark, damp places with very little airflow. Think about the space behind your drywall after a tiny pipe leak you didn't even notice, or underneath the carpet in a humid room. It can creep into your attic, your crawl space, and worst of all, it can get into your HVAC system and use it like a highway to spread through the entire house. It can be silently damaging your home structure before you even have a clue it's there. And this quote from the source material really drives the point home. This is not some rare freak occurrence. It's a massive, widespread challenge for the whole area. The goal here is to make sure your home doesn't become just another one of those statistics. Okay, so we've laid out the problem and the dangers. But don't worry, here's the good news. There is a clear solution. So let's walk through the professional playbook for tackling mold safely and effectively. And this right here is the crucial starting point. You can't solve a problem if you don't know how big it is, right? That's why, before any cleaning even begins, a thorough professional inspection isn't just a good idea, it is the single most critical first step. A professional inspection is a whole process. It starts with a visual check, looking for any obvious signs, but then it goes way deeper. They'll do air quality tests to see how many mold spores are actually floating around you, and they use these amazing tools for moisture mapping, which basically lets them find hidden pockets of water inside your walls or under your floors that are feeding the mold. And this is exactly why just grabbing a bottle of bleach and going to town often fails. When you just spray the surface, you're not dealing with the airborne spores, and you're definitely not fixing the hidden moisture source. You could actually make things worse by sending spores flying into other rooms. Professionals use containment and heavy-duty air filtration to stop that from happening, making sure they solve the root cause, not just the symptom you can see. So, the inspection's done, and we know exactly what we're dealing with. Now what? Let's get into the action plan, the key steps the pros take to get the mold out for good. It's a really methodical, 5-step process. First, they seal off the entire area to contain the problem. Second, they bring in these powerful air scrubbers with HEPA filters to literally pull the microscopic spores out of the air. Third, anything that's too contaminated to be saved, like drywall or insulation, is carefully removed and disposed of. Fourth, they clean and treat all the remaining surfaces to kill off any lingering mold. And finally, step 5, they restore the area, putting it all back together so it looks like nothing ever happened. Okay, let's talk about the big question. Cost. As you can see, it varies a lot, and it all depends on how bad the problem is. A small, contained spot? Relatively cheap to fix, but if the mold has spread all over or it's tied to some serious water damage, that price tag can climb fast. This is exactly why acting fast at the first sign of trouble isn't just about your health, it can literally save you thousands of dollars. So let's bring it all together. Here's what you really need to remember. First, your home's health and your own health are completely linked. Second, in a humid climate, the biggest risk is the mold you can't see. That's why a professional inspection is the only way to start. It's all about fixing the source, not just cleaning the stain. And maybe the most important takeaway of all, acting fast will save you so much trouble, money, and worry in the long run. So, I'll leave you with this to think about. Now that you're armed with all this knowledge, what's the first thing you're going to pay closer attention to? Is it a faint musty smell in a closet? A tiny water stain on the ceiling? Being proactive is your #1 defense against this hidden invader. Thanks for watching.